Good morning, everyone. It's Lewis at 7 Speed Shop. I wanted to take time to do this video today. It's a slow day for us today here at the shop, in the sense that David's busy back there doing a transmission, and I got cooling to do on Alvaro's truck. This isn't necessarily a how-to video because it's per application, but just kind of wanted to go through the steps of what we do and how we, do our cooling setup. The task at hand today is going to be mount radiator, mount fan, which we use Durrell fans. It's a great fan if you haven't used one before. And we're going to mount the heat exchanger and do all the cooling lines, as well as the intercooler, the supercharger pump as well. So we'll just chime in back and forth throughout the day. Alright, so the first thing we're going to have to do is, we got fortunate enough that the radiator that we're going to use, we found Durrell makes several sizes, and we found one that actually fits almost near perfect. Their kit comes with these tabs, but if you've ever mounted a radiator, to get the fan out, if you have to do a nut and bolt on all four corners, it's really cumbersome. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to weld their tabs to our radiator tab itself, and then I'm going to put nut certs on the fan casing. That way it's just, quarter 20s throughout, and it's easy to remove. Alright, we have the tabs finally welded. So now what I'm going to work on is the structure, the radiator support. From factory, the radiator support or mount was part of the front clip, so we deleted that, and it's easier to access everything this way. We'll do a brace across the top, gusset it down at the bottom, but we have good clearance throughout. One thing I wanted to point out, and again, this is no plug for Durrell. They're not paying us. They're not giving us nothing for free unless they want to. Durrell, if you're listening to this, go ahead. We'll take it. But actually, if you look at their box, they actually do the same thing. They weld their brackets to the whatever radiator you're using. It just makes it a whole lot easier, to do these stainless screws, all four sides, or both sides, I should say. And then the fan just comes right off instead of having to do, nut and bolt throughout. Alright, so we have the top bar tacked in place, end caps for the top bars, both sides, gussets down at the bottom. I angled them out just to give us more welding surface. So now I'll pull the radiator back off, fully weld that, finish out the welds on the top bars, and move on to the next phase. Okay, got the top bar welded in, got the top ends worked out, cleaned out, mounted the heat exchanger at the bottom. There's the intake semi mocked up here. That'll work out really good. It'll pass through the fender. What we're going to work on now is we're going to go ahead and mount the condenser. So we got one of these vertical condensers we're going to mount with hardline kit. and the dryer. What we're going to end up doing is notching up the bottom of this bracket so we can sink the condenser down below this top bar. Alright, so just with anything custom, you kind of got to improvise as you go along. The condenser itself would actually sit too low, so what we ended up doing was just taking off the crossbar. There's enough structure where this doesn't flex left or right. So I made these tabs. These tabs right here with some 832 nutserts. We're going to head and mount those there. And we'll weld these two on those two top pieces. Alright, here's where we are at the end of the day. We were able to mount the radiator, the fan, the condenser, and the heat exchanger. We're a little ambitious. We wanted to complete the whole cooling system for the supercharger, but we hit a snag when we mounted the condenser. Ended up having to notch this top bar, and did 2 tabs for both sides to mount the AC condenser. Tomorrow we'll work on mounting the supercharger tank, the pump, and hopefully the cooling lines, and get that wrapped up. Got this mounted. I'm happy where it's living.